they really want to get into the market,
Yeah.
but they were very focused on strategies. What should I do? What market should I look at? And I basically asked them, I'm like, how much savings do you guys have?
Welcome to another episode of our podcast series. It is the TF team Between Dollars to Dreams. That is correct. All right, we are here and we are ready to go. We're excited because we've got Kevin Hoang back with us for a second. Well, this might be the third time, right? Because of the third episode with us now. We're happy that you are here. And I guess we should start with this. So Bank of Canada last week announcing rates are going to be staying the same way it was. Um, what does that mean for the Canadian economy and more specifically in your sector, the housing market?
So thanks for having me back on.
Great
And
to have you.
I love coming chatting with you guys and sharing my thoughts. Uh, what what the Bank of Canada has done is they haven't raised rates or decreased rates.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now, specifically with the whole Trump administration and the tariffs.
Right.
Because of that uncertainty, there's a lot of risk. And having said that, the bond yields,
Mhm.
the interest rates from mortgages, they're tied to the bond yields.
That's correct.
So when there's a lot of risk in the market, the yields tend to go up,
Mhm.
right? Or they're a little bit higher because
Mhm.
it's perceived as a safer investment when you invest
Yeah.
into bonds
Yeah.
at that stage. So right now, what I'm thinking, and what if I was a betting man, which I am, um, everything will normalize itself out in
Okay.
the long run. So
Okay.
let's not get so crazy and so worried about tariff news. We've
Mhm.
heard about the tariff news since Liberation Day,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
March, in April, and it's been ongoing.
Yeah.
50% here. Okay, let's change our minds and repivot that, said
Mhm.
Donald
Mhm.
Trump.
Mhm.
And we're gonna, we have a deal. We cut a deal with Philippines, Japan. There's always gonna be some negotiations done,
Yeah.
but I think that in the long run, like it'll normalize just like it did in his first administration,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
let's not get too crazy up on the news. Let's focus on what we can focus on
Okay,
today.
so let's focus on getting that first house. All right, that first home, one of the things that are the key, I think, of securing that home for the very first time is the down payment, right? And we have to ensure that we have that amount of money, depending on whichever market that we want to get into. Um, how do we get there?
So I had a workshop, actually a small
Hmm.
workshop for my students. Like I have a group of students I mentor, once a week.
Hmm.
And one of the biggest things that was brought up to my attention was they really want to get into the market,
Yeah.
but they were very focused on strategies. What should I do? What market should I look at? And I basically asked them, I'm like, how much savings do you guys have? Right?
Yeah.
Without down payment,
Yeah.
you can't really get into the market.
Right.
But savings itself is not just for down payment. It's good for your overall well-being.
Right.
The more you can save, the more you options that you have, either to invest, go on vacation, emergencies,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So I had brought this up to their attention, and they're in a stage right now where they're pretty young.
Right.
Some of them are finishing off school, some of
Hmm.
them are starting. They graduated, they're going to the workforce. So, in my opinion, there's no better way than to attack both sides of the coin, right? So,
Okay.
making your expenses as low as possible,
Mhm.
increasing your income as much as possible.
Okay.
So I look at it from my own perspective with me and my wife, what things we've done, right? And one of the things that we've done is make sure that we have control over certain subscriptions, right? So let's talk about Amazon Prime. Let's talk about Netflix. Let's talk about things that we don't actually like. Maybe if you need them, you need them.
Yeah.
Like it's
Right.
not a
Right.
big deal. I'm
Right.
not saying cancel your Netflix subscription,
Right.
but if you're not watching, right, and it's just there,
Yeah.
I mean, that sort of adds up over time.
Right.
And you might have vehicles you don't drive.
Yeah.
Let's audit those expenses
Yeah.
first. Um, they say that your vehicle costs,
Mhm.
right? Like living arrangements,
Mhm.
so rent, right? And food, those are the biggest, pretty much non-negotiables.
Yeah.
How can we make that somewhat a little bit more viable for us?
Yeah, because you think about something as your subscription. Let's say about on average $10 a month. That's $120 a year annually. And if you put that in a high interest savings account, you get 5% on that money rather than not getting anything at all. So you've just added in terms of the value there, netting, of course, inflation, and then the same thing goes with your groceries, which are kind of discretionary, which means that you can control what and how you buy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually have a very good tip about that.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we use an app. It's called Flip,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in no way am I endorsing
Promoting.
them
Yeah.
because they don't know who I am, right? But I
Right.
use them and I'm loyal to them, and I'll tell you the reason. Because you can go on there and check what's on sale.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes you don't know what you want to eat on a week to
Right.
week basis.
Hmm.
You could just go on there and you could decide what you're going to be cooking or meal prepping for the week just by buying what's on sale,
Wow.
right? And based on that, you're never going to be bored of the meals that you make because you're like, well,
So for it's always changing. Deals are always
it's
changing.
always changing.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, we've saved probably like a couple $100 a month
That's
doing that,
amazing.
right? And you were talking about essentially putting that into high savings. Let's keep it very simple.
Hmm.
Let's put everything that we save into high savings.
Hmm.
Okay, we attack the food, right?
Hmm.
Like I know that this is really hard to say, but eating out is quite expensive.
Yeah.
Is it a necessity or a luxury or leisure,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Like we have to compartmentalize both because I'm not saying eating out is bad. You might have to eat out. Like you might have to. Like it's just you're so far away from home. You've left the house for so long.
Yeah.
Like can you actually starve yourself for 6 hours or 7 hours?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Right? That's a necessity. But if you don't eat like when you're supposed to eat, you might get sick later down the line, or you might
Hmm.
have some underlying illnesses, which makes it even worse for you.
Hmm.
So it's about picking and choosing and prioritizing, of course, but knowing, let's say, for example, for my situation, my wife and I, we used to go out, let's just say every week for a date night.
Hmm.
Maybe we cut that down to once a month, but we subsidize or replace that date night with like home cooking where we make it an activity together,
Right.
right? So the reality is it's difficult. Like a lot of young people, a lot of it doesn't matter if you're young or old, like
Right.
you're out, it's convenient to eat out,
Hmm.
but at the end of the day those costs do add up. We just got to rationalize and be able to distinguish between the two. Is it a need or a want? If it's a want, let's kind of
Adjust.
adjust accordingly,
Yeah.
right? And transportation. I know this is also a tough question. You can't say, "Oh, well, the bus is cheaper, so let's just take the bus." Well, the time that you spend traveling is a lot too.
Time is essential. Yeah.
Time is essential. Can we maybe, share a vehicle with
Hmm.
somebody
Hmm.
so we can share the insurance? We can share, the gas for, carpooling together.
Yeah.
And the car payments. Like maybe we don't need one car for each person. Like
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
might, but then what are the alternatives? Like living arrangements as well. Maybe you have to rent out a basement, or maybe you need to have a couple of roommates.
Hmm.
Maybe we need to be living in, not the I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say like the worst place because that's not right. If
Yeah.
you have living situations that are not hygienic,
Hmm.
yeah, it's cheaper, but then in the long run, you're gonna pay the price for it,
Yeah.
right?
Your health
Your
is.
health.
Yeah.
So don't cheap out on the health aspect, but look for things where you can make those adjustments because
Hmm.
that's where you're gonna be able to take, 100 here, 100 here, 100 here, and 100 here. That's
Hmm.
$500 a month now.
Hmm. Hmm.
Let's keep it simple. Put it to high savings. What will that look like at the end of the year,
Yeah.
right? Which contributes to your down payment at the end of it all, right? So those are some things that I've looked at, and that's from the savings point of view. But how could we increase the income?
Hmm.
Well, what do we what do you like to do? Like, what are you the most passionate about?
Right.
I've had a few clients that are teachers,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And their hours are very, 2:30 finish or 3:30 they finish, depending on if it's high school or elementary.
Yeah.
Guess what they do after? Tutoring.
Right.
Start a tutoring business, tutoring gig, right?
Hmm.
So they're leveraging their passions, which is educating, right? And they're also leveraging their skills, which is that's what they do full time, but they're doing it on an hourly or contractual basis in the evenings when
Right.
they have a lot of extra free time, right? So what I realize is like I know when people say pick up a side gig or whatever, people think of Uber Eats right away or think of
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
something like that. I mean, if that's what you want to do, great. And I'm not degrading that in any way. If you want to do that and you're able to do that, I think
Hmm.
it's a great option.
Yeah.
But some people find that to be, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, let's look for things that you want to do,
Yeah.
right?
And probably you have maybe 2 3 hours after you finish working. There are 24-hour call centers that you can do remotely from your home. So you can have a job where you're working for an airline in the night, for a couple of hours, or a visa center, or
Yeah.
for the banks, right? That is something that you can do as a side if you're already in the financial services industry, maybe,
Yeah.
because we know a lot of our people who watch our podcasts are students of financial services. So maybe that's an alternative. Maybe you find a second job that's close to your home that you can probably do, or you create, as you said, you can tutor, right?
Yeah.
You can tutor online. There are options for that, and you do that remotely, right?
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to make it overcomplicated for
Yeah,
ourselves
yeah,
either.
yeah,
You do what you can. You
yeah.
should never feel bad about it, right? I know that, housing is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Down payment seems a little bit out of reach, but you attack it from both ends and you look at it from both sides. It actually speeds up quite fast. Like the time will go by because you're so busy, so occupied
Mm-hmm.
working on your goals. And as you get closer and closer, you'll realize those months and those years have gone by so
Yeah,
quickly,
yeah, yeah,
right? So I don't want people to think there's like a quick fix to this.
yeah.
There really isn't, but that is actually a great way. It gives us purpose as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every time you feel like, you feel like you're falling off the rail tracks a little
Mm-hmm.
bit,
Mm-hmm.
you'll realign with your goals and that's what me and my wife do. Sometimes we try and cheat ourselves and then, we try and
Yeah,
fall in, we don't try, but we fall into
yeah,
bad habits because we're only human.
yeah.
And then you remember your goals and you're like, oh, well, we're trying to save for a down payment. You
So
do.
how do you do that? Like, so I think that's one of the hardest things in terms of maintaining this strategy is
Yeah.
the discipline. How do
Yeah.
you? So how do what are the key things? So
Yeah.
what I've heard there is that you have an accountability person with you. So if you fall off the track, you've got your wife there to say, "Hey,
Yeah.
let's get back. This is our goal," and the same you do for her. But let's say you're a single individual. You're looking to
Yeah.
save. How do you think that works?
So if you have money that comes in from your income,
Hmm.
you need to skim it right away off the top.
Yeah,
It needs to go to another account right away, whether
yeah,
that's into like a savings or TFSA, whatever it is.
yes.
It's gone. It's,
So you just put it's an automatic move. You don't even think about it. The money's gone there.
yeah, it's gone. So you budgeted already. So this is what you have to save because it's what you can afford to save. It's done. It's completely gone. And then the rest of it goes to the expenses that are necessary,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Now that you've canceled your subscriptions, now that you know you know what your expenses are,
Hmm.
then accordingly, you pay for those things. And then you really have nothing left at the end of it
Hmm.
all.
Hmm.
But really you do because you stashed it away
Yeah,
already. It's almost like putting it under the
yeah. And
mattress.
I think all of these that you've mentioned, I think are effective
Yeah.
strategies in getting this down payment to get that first house. So I just want to end on this note, though. So we've saved, we've got this down payment. We now own this
Yeah.
house. We've now owned this. We're starting to build equity in this house. What does that look like for that client?
So I'll tell you this, it's really good because you worked so hard to get your house,
Hmm.
right? You got the down payment, you qualified, everything's good. Whether you rent the house out to somebody else or not, or you live in it,
Hmm.
or you do a variation hybrid of both house hacking,
Hmm.
the mortgage pay down, which I really emphasize and focus on
Hmm.
because we were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah, yeah,
We can't control a lot of things, but we can control how much of the pay down we pay down.
yeah.
So that ultimately becomes your equity.
Hmm.
If you have somebody that lives with you, maybe living arrangements, like, it is what it is. You might have an extra roommate or you rent out a portion of the basement.
Hmm.
You have your mortgage subsidized, a
Hmm.
lot of it or
Hmm.
some of it. That goes to your bottom line.
Hmm.
And then the second thing is, let's say you don't have somebody yet, or you don't want to do that. Think about it. That's skimmed off the top right away because you're obligated to pay your mortgage,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So it's almost like a forced savings in a way. If you're
Hmm.
not disciplined, okay, well, the bank is going to make you disciplined because you have to pay them,
Right.
right? But I recommend if you're able to house hack. I know it's a sacrifice as well, just like saving up to get that down payment. But once you're there, you have somebody helping, and it's win-win too because it's
Yeah,
affordable for them as well,
yeah.
right? You're not like you're not taking advantage of them in any way either. It's a win-win for both parties. You have a portion of your mortgage subsidized,
Hmm.
and then the person that's living with you, roommate, friend, whoever it is, they have more of an affordable housing situation as well.
Right.
So yeah, that's what it looks like, and I encourage everybody to at least, I mean, if anybody has any questions, we could
Hmm.
definitely talk about it
Yeah,
later on down the line.
yeah.
I'm happy to spend my time to like audit and look at everyone's situation,
Hmm.
from just as a friend, of course, right?
Yeah.
because I know that it sounds very daunting and very
Mhm,
difficult,
mhm,
but you do it repetitively for months and months, and it
mhm.
becomes so normal.
And yeah, and we've talked about it in the past. We focused in the last couple of weeks on this because we understand how important it is. And I think you've re-emphasized a lot of what we've said before. And coming from that perspective, from a fresh perspective, that kinds of adds a value to our listeners. So we appreciate that. We
Thank
appreciate you
you.
being able to do that.
Yeah, and just in closing though,
Hmm.
I've seen this for a lot of my younger clients.
Yeah.
Some of them, I didn't tell them about this. They came to me at that stage already, but they were
Hmm.
already doing it. So I
Hmm.
know it's very doable. Sometimes you might have to have it, like I said, I'm going to repeat it, extra roommate that you might have to stay with. You
Hmm.
might have to share, you might have to share a car. Maybe even when you meal prep your food, you have your roommates share in on the grocery bills,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? It sounds very like, oh, it's not for me. But let me tell you, you're going to get to your goals a lot faster that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sacrifice initially, and then after that sacrifice, you can enjoy it.
You can enjoy it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
that's the point we end on, right?
Yeah.
We can enjoy life
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
after a little bit of sacrifice, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for watching, of course, this week's episode. I'll take a break because I'm going away, and Pierre will step in to host the other episode with Kevin, who's coming back next week as well. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and of course, Kevin, I forgot, if people want to be able to reach you, how can they do that?
Absolutely. You can reach me at Kevin Hoang Mortgages um, on Instagram, and you can DM me. I'm very responsive. So you can DM me if you have any questions, concerns, anything about real estate, mortgages, investing in general. Just I'm always happy to chat.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you. Thanks for coming on again this
Thank
week.
you. Thanks for having me.
And we'll hope to have you next week as well. Take care, guys. Like, subscribe, share, and continue watching our podcast, Between Dollars to Dreams.